It's your girl Amanda, and we are back with another episode of Mandy's Entertainment Reviews. So, for this episode, we are reviewing the season 7 of The Shy. If you guys know that I did release an episode with my predictions, and now this episode we're going to do the conclusions. So, first, I do want to give my full season thoughts. The season did start in May of 2025, but it did conclude in August of 2025. And at first, this season was a slow burn. It was kind of boring. We didn't, as viewers, like it. But once we got to the mid season with Jada being diagnosed with cancer, which we will get into later, things started to pick up in the season. More action started happening. So, we'll start with my first list of characters. So we have Tiff, and I did add on some characters too. I do have their predictions and their conclusions, which I will go over as well. So the first character we have is Tiff. So my prediction for her was that she'll go into deep depression. She might, harm herself or have Alicia or help Alicia seek revenge. And she, as we learn in the beginning of that season, is that she's pregnant. So, for the conclusion, she is dealing with her pregnancy, but she starts kind of this love triangle for Nuck and Trig. She did inherit a cigar lounge, which that was her job because Alicia did help her because she was pregnant with her grandchild. So, got to have revenue coming in, so she gave her the cigar lounge. She did suffer from depression in the first episode of the season where she was walking around. She kind of had like this grave look in her face. But ultimately, it did get better when she found out she was pregnant. It was a little graveness there at first, but when she was pregnant and she started working at the cigar lounge and Nook and Trig started coming into play, things did start getting better for her. In the end, she had a baby boy. And guess who was there for her while she was in labor? Trig. So that's for Tiff. Emmett, my prediction was that he'll help take care of EJ full time, gets close to Nuck, and might get caught up with him. He ends up dealing with all his kids. One was revealed that was going to move away from one of the mothers from the previous seasons. They didn't have like a big role, but one of his children was going to move away. He was shot by I think what's the guy's name? Bart Fitzgerald. I can't. Reg. He was shot by Reg. So he ended up proposing to Keisha in his hospital bed, which he got rejected because she said propose out of love, not fear. And he got shot because of Damon, but we'll get into that in a minute. He had a baby girl with Keisha, named her Jada, and had to deal with his mom being sick. So that it was a crazy, crazy, crazy season for Emmett. Keisha, she's going to have her baby, might have some bumps in her relationships, but will stick beside Emmett. She did have the conclusion is that she did have Emmett's daughter. Rejected the proposal, took in EJ with no hesitation, and she just wanted some peace in the house. So she was basically dealing with a lot, but also she was pregnant. For Trig, Victor, my prediction was that Fatima will leave, focus on political and public image, but will be battling some sort of demon, drugs, or alcohol. Let's see. So he was there for Tiff during her pregnancy, like again the love triangle situation. He was dealing with Reg's return. He wasn't happy that Reg did return to the home. And then at the end, spoiler alert, once they found Alicia's body, him and his friend, I cannot think of his name, Shad, they did get caught up with the loss. So the season ended with them with their hands up and walking out of Alicia's brownstone. So in season 8, we will see how that will transpire. Will they have to go to trial? Will they go to jail? We'll see. Fatima, my prediction was that she will leave Chicago, will have some sort of anger towards Vic. She did leave in the beginning of the season, and we never heard from her again. So that's just a small like role that a lot of characters had a lot of small roles in this season, and which is not fair because some of us want have questions. We want to know like what happened to them, where did they go, are they alive, are they dead, like what happened to them. Alicia, my prediction was that she will raise hell to find out who killed her son and will probably kill a couple main characters. Alicia spent majority of the season, she was preparing her grandchild, taking care of Tiff. She allowed Tiff to move into her home. But she did end up looking to get even on who killed Robert. Um, she tried to manipulate Candace, who is a new character. We'll get into her in a minute. But unfortunately, her plan did not work because she was killed by Rosalind. And if you guys don't remember who Rosalind is the estranged wife of Duda, who was killed last season. So, yeah. Yeah, Rosalind, Candy Burris' character, she made a appearance and killed Alicia. And they found her body, and that's when Trig and Vic and Shad was like walking out the house with their hands up. So, Jake, I predicted that Jake's business will start to fall and he might get into the streets. In conclusion, he had a small storyline, but he was a part of Reg's return and him fighting with Reg and just having anger towards him. Jada, her and Darnell will still be married. Jada will be more so the supportive friend to Alicia and still have her support group for her friends. And I also said she might have a health issue, and which I was right. Her cancer did return and it did spread her body. So they ended up having like a pre-death funeral for her, which was a beautiful ceremony. And she passed away right after meeting her granddaughter that Keisha gave birth to, which I thought was so sad. So I think the next season, I think it'll deal with Emmett trying to, have his new normal without his mom, and maybe his dad being around more for the grandchildren and not try to be alone in the house as well. Papa will be more of a support to the modern church, will probably take over the modern church and will split between selling his father's church, which Papa had a small role. He still had his podcast and he worked for Pastor Zeke, and I think he was trying to get back with Kenya too as well. But yeah, he had a small role, so his role wasn't a lot. Shad will be Alicia's man, will continue to be Alicia's man, and will support anything she does. Actually, him and Alicia broke up, and he ended up meeting Nora, who is Tammy Townsend. And if you don't know who that is, if you watch Family Matters, she's Greta, who is Eddie's longtime girlfriend, like towards the end of the series. And Tammy Townsend, she is so beautiful, and she's got to be like 50 now, and she is still so beautiful. But Shad gets caught up with the murder of Alicia because they moved the body. I forgot to mention they moved the body at the end. So, yeah. So that happened with Shad. Tracy, she will be grieving Duda. That was my prediction. And she'll take it out in unhealthy ways. Probably have a substance abuse, pills, anxiety, or something. But she dated Keith, who was a new character for a brief minute. But once Jada was getting ready to transition, she went to her bedside and told Jada that she's moving out of Chicago. She needs to change the scenery. So that's another character that has left the Shy. Rosalind, she'll be raising her own hell and murdering people. Well, she only murdered one person, and that was Alicia, who's no longer on the show. Lynn Whitfield, the legend. Let's see. So I have 3 pages of characters. So we have Dom. Dom is married to, Dom used to work at Smokies. She wants to go forward with Jamal, but she doesn't want kids. So she was very adamant. I don't want kids. I like kids, but I don't want them, which is fine. You can't make anybody grown do something they don't want to do. But she ended up marrying Jamal, and they still went back and forth about having children, even in therapy. Even after Jamal was shot, she was like, I'm not having kids. I'm good. I don't want kids. And she was there for Jamal when he was shot. Maisha, my prediction for her was that she'll go to LA and visit Kevin, might not return, and give up music. She did leave the show. She had a small role. She moved to Los Angeles to be with Kevin, and she also opened up about doing photography. So, yeah. Darnell, he will continue to be there for his wife for this certain health issue that I thought wasn't that serious. But he will continue to give his son the typical goofy advice. Actually, Darnell was very depressing this season because obviously his wife is sick. So he was preparing for her death and also trying to like help her and, like, speak positivity into her. But also he, in a way, kind of contributed to Damien's gambling addiction because he sat down and taught him spades, which was kind of crazy. But yeah, I think the next season for Darnell, he's just going to be grieving and depressed and all over the place about Jada. Because y'all got to remember, they got married. They had Emmett. Emmett and I probably are the same age. They had Emmett, they broke up, and then they got back together and they got married like years apart. So that was his soulmate. Brittany, who is Bakari's twin sister, Bakari would have to protect her more because she's doing damage. Turns out she had a small role, moved to NYC with Gemma. So they never mentioned her or spoke about her or mentioned anything about what she's doing because she left the show. Charles, Rotimi's character. Charles will cause some sort of damage to the church, but he just wants to take over and was also flirting with the women. So that was Charles. To me, he had a small role. I didn't really pay a lot of attention to Charles. Bianca, who is played by Jill Marie Jones. My prediction is that she will escape Chicago, but her lounge might be connected to Duda in his crimes, and she will have to come back and, answer the question to that. But another small role, she left Chicago, and she left the lounge to Alicia, who left it to Tiff for income. So that was small. Damon, who is Emmett's brother through Darnell. I predicted that he might live a double life. Normal guy, but probably will dabble into street life. But what happened was he became a gambling addict through cards, bets, and all that stuff. And he got beat up by Reg. And that's when Emmett got shot protecting his brother. And then after that, in AA, not Alcoholics Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous or something, he meets Zuri, who becomes his girlfriend, and then he becomes like the nanny to Emmett and Keisha. Nuck, my prediction is that he will be a father, but will run the streets completely different than Duda, and a secret may be released. He's keeping what he did a secret, which is killing Robert, but he was getting close with Tiff, and he was working with Detective Toussaint to get to Reg. Jamal, my prediction is that he wants to settle down, but Dom doesn't want kids, which will make him reconsider everything. And what I meant by that is like he'll probably just leave her and date someone else who wants kids. But the conclusion is that he actually married Dom, got shot by Alicia, which I think was a complete accident, while delivering food. And he still has the issues with Dom wanting children. So I think that storyline is probably going to go into season 8 as well. Pastor Zeke, team up hesitantly with Charles to destroy the church community, which was my prediction. But he ended up breaking up with his ex-girlfriend, who was white, after a big controversy. And he got back with Carolyn, who is Kenya's mother, because he publicly professed his love for her. So that happened. Judge Bradley might have some influence in Bakari's life along with Professor Gardner. That was my prediction. But she had a small role and she helped Bakari get his scholarship for college. Lene, my prediction for her was that she'll worry about Bakari to a point where she, puts herself in danger. But she was worried about Bakari. But Dom, because, Lene is Jamal's sister, she was dealing with Dom moving in and being her new sister-in-law. So they didn't really get along at first. But things got better after Jamal got shot and they kind of came together in the hospital. Marcus, who is Gemma's father, my prediction was that he'll marry Tiara and she might get pregnant. But they ended up having small roles as well. Tiara wanted a baby. Marcus didn't want a baby because he was kind of old. So they broke up and Marcus moved to New York City with Gemma. And Gemma, what I predict is that she'll explore her sexuality more and will probably cause a rift with Jake, even though they were in an open relationship. But no, Gemma had a small role. She left Chicago and moved to NYC with Brittany. And Bakari, he will get to write his book, get new mentors, and we'll keep him quiet, and we'll keep quiet about his old life. That was my prediction. But he kind of got set back because Alicia found out who he was. She took his scholarship away because he was involved with Rob's death, which screwed him. And he ended up getting back with Lene as well. Professor Gardner, my prediction for him is that he'll worry and mentor Bakari. And he did mentor Bakari, and he helped him get that scholarship as well. So he was a positive character. Tiara, I predicted that she might have a secret, but will marry Marcus, but they ended up breaking up because she wanted a child and he didn't. I have my last list of characters here. Kenya. Kenya is the ex-girlfriend of Papa. She's going to move out of Chicago and won't be heard of again. But she ended up coming back. Her family got back together. She moved to Alabama to be with her grandmother. And then it was revealed that she had a gun to protect herself. So, yeah. Reg, which we all were kind of shocked that he came back. My prediction was that he will have an adjustment to getting along with Victor and might clash with Nuck. So what happened? He did come back. He raised hell. He robbed Alicia. And then he started dating Keith's cousin, who is Candace, and she tried to get her caught up in the foolishness, basically. Hannibal, he'll go into business with Tiffany and Nuck, but won't go well. That was my prediction. He was involved in Damien's gambling, so he played a role in that. But he also mostly hung around Reg and the crew and whatever. Keith is played by Jackie Long. So my prediction was that he would date Tracy, and his criminal past will come up a lot, and it would kind of like affect their relationship. But he kind of was a main character. He worked at Smokey's after being released from prison. He did date Tracy, but I never paid attention to know like what happened to their relationship. They probably broke up, and they started hanging around Reg and stayed with Candace. So they started getting into the BS with Reg. Jackie is the lady with the long, I think she had like braids or dreads or something. She's going to get caught up in Reg's shenanigans, but turns out Jackie had a small role. That will probably be a bigger role in the next season. Nora, again, Tammy Townsend, she is the type of woman that Shy actually needs. That was my prediction. But it was a small role, so we'll probably see what she will bring in season 8, so she'll probably have a bigger role. Shawnita, who is the more extroverted manager, the new extroverted manager at Smokey's, she'll run Smokey's down to the ground or fix it up. But we do see her in the beginning of her time on the show as very bossy, but she gets the job done. Carolyn, who's Kenya's mother, my prediction was that she will try to get back with Pastor Zeke, and she did, and she allowed him to move in. So, yeah. Angie, who is Hannibal's wife, who is played by Kyla Pratt, my prediction for her was that she's going to get caught up in Reg's drama somehow, but Angie was a small role, but she gave the motivation for Darnell. Yeah, it was a small role. I think it was motivation for Darnell. I don't know. Grandma Renee, who was played by Felicia Rashad, she's a sharp-tongued supporting character, and she was the sharp-tongued supporting character. Nothing she did really stood out to me except, just basically talking to Pastor about getting back with Carolyn and all that stuff. But she played a really great role. I really liked her. I hope they bring her back for season 8. Zuri, who is Damien's girlfriend, portrayed by Karuchi, she's going to make Damien's gambling into a sex addiction, and she'll probably be his downfall. That was my prediction. But she really didn't make his downfall. She was a great influence on him, and she was around at his house. Like, they even did the Keisha and Emmett thing, but it was Damien and Zuri. But she was around so much that Keisha decided to hire her as the nanny. So she has a good ending for this season. Riley, who's played by Tasha Mack herself, Wendy Raquel Robinson. She's going to be there for Greek counseling for Darnell, but might get into an affair. But she had a small role, and she gave Darnell the advice to do like the pre-death funeral, and which turned out very beautiful. Candace, who is Reagan Gomez Preston, she'll hook up with Reg and cause some trouble. She did start dating Reg, and she was lied to by Alicia. And basically, Candace seemed like a sweet lady, but she was just caught up in BS through Alicia and through Reg. And Detective Toussaint, she's going to be investigating a crime that leads to another crime. And she basically spent her time in the season trying to get to Reg and used Nook to get to where she needed to go. So, yeah, those were my predictions and conclusions. I may or may not be missing some stuff because some parts of the season were boring, but I mostly got it from like the parts that started picking up. So, full season stars, I give it a 4.5 out of 5 because, again, it was a slow burn. I like that it's a cliffhanger for season 8, so we're ready to know what's going on in season 8 because we see all this stuff that happened in season 7, so we ready for season 8. And what I disliked is that the slow burn in the beginning, and also, even though I know it's TV, Nina wasn't really there to support Keisha because she was having her baby. So when a woman's mom is not there by choice, it's like, on TV, of course, I start questioning things, but I have to also remind myself it's TV, it's not that real. But yeah, that is my conclusions for The Chi season 7. Thank y'all so much for listening. Like, share, subscribe. Peace.